And then I love how she's like, hey, you're not gonna put poo-poo in that, are you? Oh, you're so obsessed with poo-poo. Welcome everyone to OCHATO, the fortnightly podcast where we drink tea and review manga. I'm Suellen.
Hi,
And I'm
I'm
Jade.
Oliver. Damn it! Who went last time? Oh, it was you, wasn't it? My bad. Sorry, my bad. Go on.
And I'm Jade.
And I'm Oliver.
Every 2 weeks, we pick a manga that one of us has recommended and we'll read up to a certain chapter and discuss the manga with a mega ton of spoilers. This week, we're reading Golden Kamuy by Satoru Noda. Up to chapter 38, recommended by me. But before we're diving in, we must know the answer to the most important question.
Mm-hmm.
What is everyone drinking in their mugs?
Jade, you look like you have something to say about tea.
I was just pouring some hot water into my mug because I'm actually drinking two teas. So my first tea is called Mindful Moment. It's an infusion by Sainsbury's, and I think it's got lemon balm, chamomile, and ashwagandha. And it smells and tastes like fragrant peaches.
Oh, that sounds great.
Which is, yeah, it's really, really nice. And then my second tea, I'm just loaded with teas.
Wow.
My second tea is the hot cross bun infusion, also by Sainsbury's, because it's Easter. Yeah, It's weird. It's like, so I think the packaging says it's orange, lemon, and spices, I think, with rooibos. But it's really weird. It actually does smell like a hot cross bun.
That's kind of scary.
Yeah, so I thought I'd, celebrate Easter by,
Impressed as I am that you've gone with two teas to up the game, I must then ask the question, why?
That's a good question. I have not been hydrating as much today, so I thought now is a good time as any to stock up on water in my body, and also
flavored water.
Flavored water, exactly. And I also thought like mixing the, not mixing exactly, but like having the two teas together would be interesting. It would be like take a bite of a peach and then eat a hot cross bun, and then
complete madwoman.
What have you got?
I mean, I've got the basic triple mint pucker.
Oof, classic.
A good one.
Fan favorite.
Nothing special here. Delicious as it is. What about you, Sola?
I heard it's won a OCHATO Tea Award.
Has it? Wow. How prestigious.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm also drinking something from Puka. It's the free ginger tea.
That one's good.
Which free ginger? I have no clue.
Healthy.
Yeah.
Very nice.
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 Well, have you know in the script it says cool. All right.
I'm trying to change it up a little bit.
Okay, my bad.
Same each time, right? So, Golden Kamuy. So, base premise: we follow a war veteran, Sugimoto, also known as the immortal Sugimoto, who's like his name, he's incredible at killing when it comes to war, and and he just can't die. He's in a way overpowered, but with no actual abilities apart from just high pain tolerance. We see him getting crazy amount of damage throughout the manga, but he just doesn't even flinch, but he's in a bit of a sticky situation because he needs a lot of money fast. We later find out as we read the manga it's because of his first love, who needs a lot of financial support because she's a widow. And he made a promise to his best friend who married his first love, and he died in the war that they were both in together. So he wanted to support her because otherwise she will be forced to marry someone else, and her health is deteriorating, and he needs to fix that fast. And he came across a drunken man who mistakenly told him about a secret of a massive heap of gold that's being hidden by a guy called, is it Noparo or something? He's a prisoner in the Abarashi prison, the highest security ranking prison, I believe. And no one has found the gold that he's stolen from the Ainu people, so which is like an indigenous group of people in Japan. The gold belonged to them, but he stole it, and he was arrested, and everyone is trying to find his gold. And the trick is, no one could get it out of him, but he's managed to trying to reach out to the people outside the prison to try and to find this gold. He does it by tattooing a map to the gold to all of these high what they called, like these insane prisoners. I don't know, how do you call them? Like,
I would probably just describe them as dangerous inmates.
Yeah,
particularly dangerous inmates.
Yeah. So he tattooed these maps onto these dangerous inmates with the promise that, you know, when they break out of the prison, they could find the gold together and split evenly amongst them. But he had the trick up his sleeve, which was that you have to skin these these men alive and piece these individual tattoos together to actually form a bigger map, a bigger puzzle, which supposedly will form a map that leads people to the gold. So Sugimoto finds this out, and obviously that's a quick way to find gold and money, which is what he needs. And he by chance met Ainu girl whose father was killed by this man who tattooed all these prisoners who was in prison. Basically, he knew where the location of gold. Killed his father because he was one of the people who was guarding the gold, and she wanted revenge. She has no interest in the gold, and she wants to revenge on the man. And so they both decided to team up together to find the rest of the tattoos. And that's where the story begins. Sorry, that was a bit long.
You know, they say revenge is a dish best served gold. So it's a good combo.
Get out of here.
And then you can say hina when you eat that dish that's served gold.
Yeah, so all in all, it's a action it's an action manga, but sprinkled with a lot of cooking slice of life, because we're introduced to the indigenous culture of Ainu people, and they have a lot of interesting ways of cooking dishes and hunting, and all in all, it's a joy to read. It's like a historical manga mixed with slice of life and comedy and some serious drama and action. It's got it all. Like,
it has a lot. It's worth mentioning that it's set in the Meiji era, which is like, think kind of early 1900s, like very early 1900s, and I believe it happens just after the Russian-Japanese War around then. So there's a lot of war influence throughout, and many of these major characters that we see are or were soldiers, which has quite a big influence, I think, and I guess we'll touch on later.
Yeah. So what were you guys' first impression of the manga?
Okay, so my first impression was that I always find it interesting when a manga starts off with war scenes, because with war scenes, automatically there is already a background to it, because there's a war going on, there's characters involved, those characters have backstories, and all the other characters also have backstories. So you already know that there's going to be a good story leading to this, and I think that sets a good precedent for what's to come. So when we started off with Sugimoto, doing war things, I was like, okay, interesting. This is going to be a wild ride, probably. And then, we cut to, was it Panning for Gold? Him with a guy who's telling him about the whole story, and then he's like, "Oh, I've said too much. You must die." And then Sugimoto's like, "Not today, my friend." And he's like,
"I'm immortal."
Yeah. So I found that really interesting. And with the introduction of Asirpa, I found that they have a really good synergy going. They have good comedic interactions, and I think that's what made me keep going after the first page. So that was my first impression. I really liked it.
Nice. As for me, they say war makes monsters of men, and you can see that a lot in this manga. It was quite a lot more brutal, actually, than I was expecting. Some of the war scenes in particular are very gory, I suppose, which caught me off guard a bit, considering it's Shonen Jump, which I always associated with being, I guess, a bit less brutal. I like the humor a lot. The art was very clean. I'm a big fan of that. And the characters I found pretty interesting, especially, of course, the kind of back and forth between Asirpa and Sugimoto. I liked it. Good first impression.
Yeah, I have. I share a similar sentiment to all of you, but it's interesting because at first I actually was put off by the gory bits. I had no expectation of it apart from it's just everyone loves it and really recommended it. So I think I didn't really pick it up until Jade told me that, like, she read everything like over a month or something like that, and I was like, okay, if she liked it, then I must check it out and see what it's about. And after sort of the first two chapters, I was not disappointed, because the mystery itself, it's actually really intriguing, with the tattoos. Like, yeah, the premise, it's I never seen anything like that. I mean, you have heard of, like, finding treasures and that sort of trope, but the way it does it, it's really new and imaginative. Actually, I found that, like, a lot of this manga actually has a lot of tropes that I like, but they have, like, a really refreshing take on it, and that it's a trope, but it's not repeated, like the multiple storylines. Like, I found that I think it sort of flows quite well into each other, which we'll touch on later. But I think, yeah.
Are you treating that as a trope, or?
In a sense, I like no. We'll get into that more later.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I think my first impression was quite gory, but it also surprised me with a lot of humor and slice of life. That was my first impression. It's a mix of action, slice of life, which works really well, surprisingly. Pleasantly surprised, to sum it up in 2 words.
I think so we 3 went to the manga exhibition at the British Museum, which was, I think, in 2019. Forever ago, right? But we actually saw this big mural of Asirpa on the wall, and I think just the character design of her just, like, drew me to that. So I think even a first impression there was like, wow, this is there's got to be a story behind this, and I want to find that out. So I think from the get-go, it was just really, really interesting. So I completely second your thoughts.
Nice. What's next? Oh yeah, characters.
Speaking of a huge mirror of Asirpa, what do we think of our bunch of old mismatched group of hooligans in this manga?
For me, it was a good mix and kind of chemistry between Asirpa and Sugimoto. I think that you get the kind of, almost the father and daughter vibe, except that she's very, very capable and is like a walking encyclopedia of how to survive in the wild. And he's, very tenacious, but lacks these survival skills. And I think that made for a really interesting dynamic whereby it's not just one of them protecting the other. They kind of have to mix their knowledge to do so well. And that worked really well for me. Similarly, I thought that some of the other side characters, for example, Shiraishi, who's the guy that can dislocate everything and keeps getting bitten in the head for some reason, was quite a nice mix into that. I also like that the villains, such that there are, were not just straight up evil. They were like, hey, look, we've been in this war. We've got basically nothing back for it. We've just become, vagrants, essentially. We deserve better, which, they do. If you've fought for your country, I think you should not just be abandoned, right? And for me, that added that depth that's much needed in many shows. So I really liked the characters. I liked how tenacious they all are. I liked how you could see how the war had shaped their lives. And I really liked the mix of kind of modern-ish, like regular Japanese guy with Sugimoto and kind of rural Ainu knowledge and customs from Asirpa. So I liked him.
Yeah, I agree. I really liked the characters as well. I think that Sugimoto reminds me of Muta from Space Brothers, just a tiny bit.
Yeah, I get you totally.
But yeah, and I thought that what they do is just very in character. When Sugimoto tries punching the bear, like in one of the earlier chapters, very, very in character. And I agree with you about the chemistry between our main characters, Sugimoto and Asirpa. I think rather than father-daughter, I'd describe them as friends, rather than that, because I feel like they have equal knowledge but in different terms, as you described. But I just saw it in a different way. I also thought that the side characters were interesting because you could see that there were kind of three groups being formed. So Sugimoto's group, we have the Hokkaido, was it the 7th Division?
Yeah.
And then we have the one with the old guy with the sword. The one thing that...
So the one
thing...
Hijikata,
thank you.
Yeah, Hijikata. The one thing I wish that happened was maybe a bit more on like what happens to the side characters, because I remember this one scene of Hijikata walking in on a guy at a brothel, but then I got confused with that guy and like some other people in like the same kind of group that's formed. I think that was my only sort of issue there, but I think that might have just been me because I do get confused easily.
I had the same issue, actually. I found, while I liked a lot of the side characters, many of them that didn't have these more distinctive traits to them and looks were quite similar. And there were differences on them now that I can kind of see them. But I found many of the side characters had kind of the same, eyebrows and hair and maybe a beard, maybe not. So I also kind of struggled to tell them apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe because I'm just so like I'm already easily confused in the first place. I just always accept like characters I don't need to remember. They're not important as long as they get the story across. It's like
You have generic haircut, I'm going to ignore you.
yeah, exactly. Say it. I'm just like yeah, like are you missing up like Ushiyama, like the guy with the huge block with the boss of the brothel, not boss, sorry, the owner of the brothel.
More like Kiroranke, Ogata, Tanigaki. They've all got.
Yeah, we haven't met him yet.
Maybe not. There's my issue. I have no idea who these people are. I feel like we've seen them, but they've all got. I don't know. I don't feel like they're quite as distinct, which is fine. And it may just be that they need a bit more time to be fleshed out. But I struggle to tell them apart.
Right. It's okay. I feel like when it comes to like main characters, yeah, like Noda, you know, he's got his favorites, like, you know, like here, yeah, they easily you can easily tell them apart. But yeah, the side characters definitely, like the people who are just walking around, and they'll probably be dead in like a few minutes anyway. So it's like there's no reason to remember their faces. So many people have died.
I do like that, as you said, Ollie, a lot of them are based on real people. You know, for a piece of historical fiction manga, you know, it's kind of cool that it tells history in this way.
Yeah, I'm actually learning a lot in this. So I had, for example, no idea that the Ainu were a people. And it's cool learning about their kind of their customs and whatnot from this. And I always really like it when in a manga or in any piece of literature, you can look up some of the techniques they tell you about, and they were like a thing, and you can find out more the more you look. And of course, that doesn't always hold. You know, if it's a full-on fantasy, then sure, fine. But if it's set in the real world, it's cool if it then uses real-world customs.
Yeah, mangaka really integrated the so the knowledge drop with the plot really well.
Yes,
it's not like a massive amount of like text just introduce, like the first chapter introduced this entire culture. They kind of like drip feed it to you, so it's easier to digest, and actually to like you only need to know it when it's relevant to the story, and it's quite funny. Like I remember one bit is to do with I think Suto, the discipline stick.
yeah.
And it's like when I think it was Sugimoto tried to offer miso to the grandma. And at the time, you know, Asirpa hasn't been enlightened yet to know the deliciousness of miso. So she thought it was usoma, which is like poo-poo. And then she took the stick out. She was like, "Are you feeding my grandma poo-poo?"
The discipline stick.
There was like a text at the side saying, "Oh, this is like a disciplinary stick, like should not be used lightly." And then it came out like afterwards, like several times saying like it should not be used lightly. And then she's just using it in like situations that just to like teach Sugimoto a lesson, because it's only to use if you've done something really severe as a punishment. But yeah, I love it when it like these little tidbits that adds to the story.
It's also for me really nice how they come up later. So you learn about, for example, the technique where they kind of organize fallen logs and things so that it funnels animals through a trapped area. And that happens at least twice in what we've read so far. And it becomes relevant to the plot later on. And I really like that it's not just an info dump of, hey, here's kind of what they did. It's, hey, here's what they did. And they're using it in the manga to great effect more than once. Yeah. You know, it's like, just as in any, really, I suppose, any kind of good system. Take, for example, Naruto. You learn about the hand signals or the hand signs, and then about the system that they use to do all their, like, the ninjutsu, the genjutsu, whatever. and then it comes up time and time again, and it's fun when it does, and it's satisfying, and you feel like you're learning. And it's the same here, but it's with actual real world techniques.
It's like the same. I like something similar to that, where they uses it also as a way to bond with characters, because you know how like at the beginning Sugimoto learns about hina hina and the phrase you say when you find something delicious, and chitap tap, a certain dish that they make where they chop up like even the bones of the animals, and you have to say chitap chitap, like keep saying it as you're doing it. And it's interesting where they introduce like this, like it comes up like when there's a new character who's exposed to the Ainu culture. It's interesting to see their reaction to it, like someone who might not get it. And this actually, if you read further on into the series, it comes up time and time again. You see other characters who's not familiar with the culture, and see, you know, how they react towards it dependent on their personality. It's quite funny. It's like these little running gags that like they keep up so long that it doesn't get old, but it's quite refreshing. Each time it comes up, it just makes me laugh. There's so many of them. Yeah.
I like the one where Asirpa's just feeding them the brains.
Yeah.
What was that face that they make?
Yeah. Oh, that face. Some of the faces in this are just fantastic. I really like them because you get these quite serious moments, and then the general art style is pretty consistent, I guess. So that the way that they switch to like almost the low quality faces and the really exaggerated expressions, I found really worked well for the humor. For me, the favorite bit was when Sugimoto was trying to convince Asirpa to eat the miso, and she's just getting progressively more like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And then does it, and we get the lovely happy expression.
Yeah, she's enlightened. And then I love how she's like, hey, you're not gonna put poo-poo in that, are you? Oh, you're so obsessed with poo-poo. or soma. But she likes it.
Who's your favorite character?
Oh, Jade, you can't drop this early.
Yeah.
I think mine would probably either be Asirpa's grandma or is it her cousin who has the name of grandfather's butthole?
Lovely.
I don't know if it's exactly that, but
I think that's Asirpa's name when she was younger.
I think so. Are you talking about
Osama, the person named Osama.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, right. I love that. I think either one of those two, because I think for the grandma, she just gives off, very leadership-like vibes, I think. And the fact that she's just so important to Asirpa, it's nice that Sugimoto recognizes that. And he tries to reassure her, I will, we will be okay. And I think I like Osama because every time that Osama makes an appearance, it's just the facial expressions. It's something about them, like I'm up to no good. That
he does have some excellent expressions.
Yeah.
For me, I think I'm going to be boring. It's got to be Sugimoto. I like how he's generally pretty upbeat, but he has that kind of more violent side to him from the war. I like that I'm still not sure if he's actually got a superpower or not. I know that he's very tenacious and is able to think clearly and has good reactions when he's in these life or death situations, which has kind of earned him the moniker of the immortal. But I'm genuinely not sure if he's actually immortal, and I'm looking forward to finding out. Because he got shot right, like in chapter 1, he got shot through the neck. But equally, I can see how it could have missed a vein, and I can see how if you've got these reactions, you could come away and like, you know, a really strong will to survive. You could come away from these situations that would be fatal to others. But I don't know, is he immortal? I'm interested.
Oh my god, what if he's the Golden Kamuy? Like he's a Kamuy.
The Kamuy are gods, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's the golden god. Maybe.
Who knows?
That would be a plot twist, wouldn't it?
Yeah, manga theory. Let's go. We should start a channel.
And then, Suellen, who's your favorite character?
Yeah, it's a bit of an unfair question. I love at least the main three a lot. So there's Sugimoto, Asirpa, and Shiraishi. Shiraishi. Yeah, I just love them when they're together. Like, I know they're all really smart and useful in their own ways, but I love that when they come together, like they can act like idiots.
Yeah.
Like I love their like dynamic a lot. So I would not dare to just slap, you know, the label favorite character on just any one of them. But they're like my OT3.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then I guess we start off with just Sugimoto, who meets Asirpa. I still don't really know how to say her name, to be honest with you. I'm reading Asirpa on the wiki, but that's I'm not sure. Anyway, but quite a lot happens in the chapters that we read in the 4 volumes. Did any of it in particular stand out to you?
I think for me, this isn't like a huge moment, but it's just when Asirpa was drawing the tattoo with a pencil, and then, you know, we have an introduction of when pencils were introduced or something,
yes.
and then Sugimoto starts wiggling the pencil in front of Asirpa. I think that's the moment that stands out to me the most.
That was very wholesome. I really like that moment, especially because she's so like entranced by it, and then he does the classic trick.
Yeah.
Yes, I think one of the moments that I remember really enjoying is that when they were trying to catch the eagle, I think.
Damn it! Both of you have picked my 2. Damn it!
It was just like you just didn't expect it, yeah. So they catch this like regular size eagle, and they were like, "Oh, nice! Like we caught it. Like we can like sell the feathers or whatever." And then the next panel is like a 2-page spread of a giant bird have its claws on the tiny Asirpa, and you're just like, "What the heck?" And it just takes off, trying to take off with her. That was unexpected and hilarious.
Yeah. She's so tiny. Oh my lord! Do you know how tall she is?
No idea.
Because you get the occasional panel where somebody's picking her up and they're like 3 times her height, and her grandma's tiny too. But I'd kind of expect that, I guess. But she's very small. She's like small with an O.
Oh my god. Okay, according to her anime character reference sheet, she's 1 meter 21 centimeter. She's 3'11".
3'11". Wow. Me being English, I can't do metric heights. I can do metric weights, but not heights for some reason. 3'11". That's tiny. Oh.
She is a kid, but still.
Isn't she like 13 though?
She's a tiny kid.
She's very tiny.
She's about to go through her growth spurt. Just you wait. Don't give up on her.
Yeah.
But like I for these kind of gags, I feel like I just don't care if she's actually meant to be like 160 or something, like, or like 5 foot, and they do it, make it extra tiny just for the comedic effect. I love it. Must protect.
I think like it's nice because these comedic moments are just peppered in throughout like the more serious tones of the manga.
Yeah, I was going to mention this actually. There's some really good timing on the tonal shifts. So we have, these kind of serious war moments, and then it goes into people kind of dealing with the aftermath of that in either a sad way or a kind of, hey, here's what we need to do to survive way. And then that goes into a gradually kind of lighter tone. And then you get some jokes scattered here and there. And I feel like the pacing is really good with regards to that. So I was able to read about, maybe 25 chapters in one sitting and just be like, that was really good. I enjoyed all of that. There was no moment where I was like, kind of stopped and thought a lot more about it, or any moments where I was bored. But it also wasn't so intense that I had to stop reading it every few chapters. So I really like the pacing. And I think for me, that was actually the strongest part of the manga. It's strong generally.
Yeah.
The art's good. The characters are fun, interesting, varied. The setting is, again, interesting, and you can learn a lot. But the pacing for me was the highlight.
And it helps that it has like so many characters. You're following like 3 plot lines at this point, right? You have, and they all have their own motivation for getting the gold. Funnily enough, actually two of the groups, the Hichikata and also the 7th Division, they both want to take over Hokkaido. Be interesting. Unlike Sugimoto, who has more wholesome goals, I guess, just to support, his to fulfill his promise, and maybe not so wholesome for Asirpa, who wants revenge.
That's true.
Yeah.
Again, it's the whole kind of, it's monsters of men combined with the fact that you don't get adequate care afterwards. A lot of this wouldn't have happened had there been basically some kind of welfare for soldiers coming back.
Yeah.
And they do mention that there are some benefits they get for being soldiers. Like one of them at one point goes around the village to ask for kind of eggs, I think it is. And they get a load of other stuff too. But, the fact that he has to go and do that, I guess says a lot.
To be fair, that was Shiraishi who just stole some guy's uniform to pretend to be a soldier.
That is true as well.
Yeah. But at the very beginning, Sugimoto was like, "Oh yeah, I was a war hero. I was the immortal Sugimoto." But I get nothing afterwards. Like that's why he's out there hunting for gold in the first place.
Yeah, it's, I guess, kind of interesting with the desperation element, because it makes me think of weirdly Breaking Bad, where Walter White, the whole reason he starts doing the whole thing is because he can't really afford the healthcare. And similarly, there's a lot of these kind of people doing desperate things after this war because there's no kind of, I guess, welfare for them or kind of adequate recompense, which is a great plot driver, but kind of makes me think, like, how much else could happen. Having said that, it's set in like 1900, and it's not. They don't have a lot of modern conveniences.
Who knows? Maybe nothing. Maybe it's gotten better, but maybe it's not. It's still got a lot of room for improvement.
What did you think of I'm going to change her name up every time I say it because I can't say it correctly. Asirpa's hunting techniques and her kind of methodology of like use every bit. Would you eat the brain if she offered it to you?
Yes.
Would you also pull the face?
Yes. It just feels a bit like, what we had in Dungeon Meshi, where it's like they kind of...
Yeah, strongly agreed. I was getting real Dungeon Meshi vibes from this.
Yeah.
Man,
would you?
Slices are great, aren't they?
Would you eat the brain?
That's a tough question, Jade.
I'm a vegetarian, Jade. How dare you?
That's an easy out. I don't know. I suppose so. I find it because you can eat. They eat a lot of raw meat, which, if it's that fresh, is actually fine. I would probably be too squeamish to keep it down, but I'd probably try it. I like to say that. Though there are some things I probably wouldn't eat, like an eyeball. I just can't. It's just not.
Yeah, I think that would be difficult for me as well.
Yeah, that's a few steps too far.
I was wondering if like there was a hina hina equivalent for tea, because I'm not sure if hina hina is just for food or if it's like, because I guess they eat broth kind of, but like I'm just wondering if there's a drink that's only hina hina.
Maybe. Is that actually a thing, or?
I think so. Yeah.
No, I think the mangaka tries to keep it historically accurate.
Yeah.
When it comes to Ainu culture.
Yeah, they're super helpful when they do that. When they put like translations, meanings, you know, what this means to their culture. And to the people involved, and the explanations are really, really clear and concise, and I really like that. They really add to the story as well. There wasn't a bit where I was like, "This is so misplaced." It was actually done really well.
Agreed. I'm looking up like the Ainu during this as well, which I suppose is kind of a resounding endorsement of how Golden Kamuy has got me interested.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like, you know, manga is probably overlooked as a, you know, medium for knowledge and education. I feel like, you know, just because it's like has drawing or something, like it, you know, it doesn't mean it's not capable of like teaching and people things, or you can learn from it. I feel like it's a worthy area to explore when it comes to, I don't know, education or just general like awareness for certain topics. I mean, movies are praised quite a lot for doing that, and even TV shows. But I feel like, and books as well, but manga is quite overlooked. Yeah, I feel like could be something to explore, because like in Japan, just a lot of like stuff. The first thing that came to mind is like cells to work or something.
The what?
Cells at work.
Cells at work.
It's like like a manga serialization about like freaking red blood cells and white blood cells and cancer cells, like a comic version of like how freaking the how cells work in your bloodstream, which is quite interesting. I feel like they got that down, Japan, in terms of like education for animation and manga.
It's certainly an accessible way of learning about stuff.
Yeah,
I'm thinking back to me memorizing the Naruto hand signs they did.
Yeah,
I got when I was younger. I don't really remember them anymore, sadly.
Oh,
and I don't know.
Hey, no, if Naruto hand signs were inspired by like Japanese hand sign, like sign language or something, that would be pretty cool.
That would have been cool.
Right?
I wonder if there is a manga about hand signs.
Yeah, maybe. I hope so.
I'm sure there is.
Definitely.
But we're lucky enough to have a manga about the Ainu and the early Meiji period, or I guess just the Meiji period.
I like, this is more like a side note, like at the beginning of some chapters, the chapter cover, you will have like a breakdown of the characters' equipment. That was kind of cool, like letting you know what they carry to hunt and what they're used for and how it's used. But what I found most funny is Shiraishi's breakdown. It's just candy. That's all he needs.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's because, does he have no other equipment, or is it that the rest of it's like hidden when he swallowed it or something?
That is true. Maybe the mangaka wants to keep a surprise so that, you know, when he escapes, it's like, oh, he's got something like up his butt that you can take out and help him escape. Yeah. Yeah,
it's I've been really enjoying it. I like the different characters. I like the way that they interact. I really like the groundedness of it. It's been kind of, I guess, manga-ish. You know, there have been people doing some fairly crazy things, but nothing that would be completely impossible. And I feel like I've been learning a lot, and the setting is certainly a good one for stories. The driver for these people doing all of this is interesting, and it's nice how they've tied it back to the Ainu. So I've been really enjoying this.
Amazing. What did we think of the overall art style of this manga?
I really liked it. I loved the character designs, and I love how most of them looked very distinct and unique. And I like how Sugimoto's scarf stays on throughout everything. It's just there. And I like that we have the covers for the chapters of, people with their tools or food or cooking related stuff. And I like that as I said before, I like how the explanations are placed in the panels. It follows logically, I think, and I know we discussed this before, but when it's serious, but when it's comedic, it's comedic, and you can really tell with the art style. And I didn't realize like how cool the expressions would be, when Asirpa forced them to eat the squirrel brain, or rather encouraged them rather. And I'd never seen that before in a manga. That kind of okay face, like, okay, I will eat this brain. Okay. And yeah, and I thought that was that's what made it different to me, this manga, the fact that it didn't really shy away from portraying these different emotions of, I don't know, disgust or like refusal or like joy and laughter. It was great.
I liked the art style a lot. I thought it was very clean, and the way that they draw some of the animals are so cute. The paneling works well. I don't really have any complaints. I don't feel it did anything like particularly adventurous. Most of what happens within each panel, which is perfectly fine. I have no issues with that. As opposed to, for example, having somebody pointing a gun really aggressively, so much so that it like comes out of the panel and into like the surrounding page, is one of the things I really like. But it does work well, and I don't find there's ever a point where I'm like, where the heck are we? What are we looking at? So yeah, good. Enjoyment. Yeah, I have very few other comments on this, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, it's really, really well done. Because the actions are really clear. You always know what's happening. The expressions are just gold, like can't get any better with this. Yeah, I think I sort of figured out what makes these expressions so funny, because they try to, there's like look of disgust. It's because he makes it so realistic, like closer to like actual real expressions, whereas like the rest of the manga, it's the more serious side of it. They're all classic, anime looking characters, but then when it comes to those like comedic look of disgust, or even that baby that guy's baby, their expressions are made to drawn as realistic as possible. Yeah, so that contrast sort of added to the comedic moment. Yeah, overall, love the art. It's so fun to take out of context and send it to people.
Yeah,
It is.
Yeah, especially as before this, the only kind of direction that Ollie had was that image of the bear and the guy.
Yeah, I still don't think we've seen that, have we?
No, it hasn't.
You will find out.
Where is it, damn it? I'm looking at it now. Some of the environmental drawings are really nice, like really, really nice.
I don't think I've even noticed whether they've drawn it or not, but a lot I only notice when they're like use a photo, which is pretty cool. I don't think it's out of place at all. Yeah, at to environment.
Some of the panels are gorgeous. Like for example, chapter 36, on about pages 16 and 17, there's a wide panning shot of like a town by the sea with ships coming out, and it's so detailed.
Mm.
And those are the kind of ones that stand out for me. The expressions are also excellent, but oh man, those landscape shots.
I also really like the attention to detail for the animals, like Greta. You know, when Asirpa's just being like, he's a good boy, and then he's just like on his back, like, I am. And then when Sugimoto comes back and he's like, alert. Yeah, it's great. It's really great. And the whole bear, I wonder how long it takes to draw a bear.
Ooh, yeah.
Because, you know, there was a lot of hair on all the bears. How long would it take to draw all the bears' hairs?
Say that 10 times faster. Actually, side question. What is your favorite animal character?
What, in this?
Yeah.
And do you mean character or just of the animals we've been shown?
I don't know. Each animal could be a character.
I found the owls very cute.
I think I'd have to say the bear cub that Sugimoto keeps carrying around in his jacket. Ollie with his love of owls.
I've got a big owl poster thing right by my PC here. I love owls.
I love the is it Rio? The oh my god, what is that dog breed? Yeah, Shiba Inu.
Oh yeah. It's like, find this sock.
No, it was like, when it's entered like the wolf territory, it just refuses to move. It's just the guy trying to pull the leash, and like he's fat of his sheets like bursting out of the leash because he refuses to move, and he had to physically drag him across the ground while he's like laid limp on. Like, I love it. Yeah. Boy. Cool. Now we have entered a very special segment of our podcast. As far as I know, no other podcast does this. This is where we take a character or characters, if we're being venturous, from the manga that we've read in the previous episode, and isekai them into the current manga that we're reading and discuss how well they will fare. So last episode we've read Hunter x Hunter by Yoshihiro Togashi, and I think the character or group of characters we're going to bring to Golden Kamuy is spiky hair guy and
do you mean Gon?
And spiky hair kid
and
with white hair kid and blonde haired man.
Okay, so Gon, Killua, Leorio, and Kurapika.
Halfway reading this, I was like, crap, I don't remember.
Phil, and you're fired.
I don't know why. When I think of Gon, I just think of Ant. Like, his name is not Ant.
Not at all.
No, it's just full of Ant. Yeah. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, guys. This is my apology segment. So sorry for forgetting the main characters.
Okay, we'll forgive you.
We'll forgive you.
Big free of any shonen manga.
I feel like they make a great team.
Would you have them? Sorry, go on.
Oh, I was going to say, imagine they'd be like the fourth team searching for the gold.
Exactly what I was going to say. I had kind of two ways I was going to take this, actually. As a team, I reckon Kirua would be the knowledgeable one, and he'd be the one that's kind of used to everything, but then maybe struggles with people. Gon would be, I think he'd do fantastically because he's got that kind of drive to go forward. I'd also be kind of interested to see what would happen if we only brought Gon in, where maybe he'd joined up with them, and how would he kind of add to the dynamic? I think he'd work really well as kind of learning really fast, but maybe not have the kind of experience or world wariness and knowledge that Sugimoto has. So he'd be easily tricked, is kind of what I'm saying. And there's a lot of people that would try and trick him.
Yeah.
I can see parallels between Gon and Killua and Sugimoto and Asirpa. Because you know how Asirpa throughout is like, try not to kill anyone. I feel like that's kind of Gon.
Yeah.
A little bit of him anyway. And then Killua with Sugimoto, it's like, well, you know, if I in a situation where it's like, if I need, yeah.
Asirpa would not like Killua, right?
No,
because Killua just grabs someone's heart. he'll be great. He'll be a great tool. I can see, you know, what would be twisted is that he's recruited by the 7th Division.
Oh, why you got to put him on the bad side, Suellen?
But do you think that they'd eat the brains?
Yes. Without hesitation. Killer would be like, we've done this for years, what do you want? And Gon would be like, he'd go in and then probably be sick afterwards.
Leorio. Yeah, Leorio, he would not, I think.
Yeah,
he'll be pressured into it, but he would not. And so with
Kurapika?
Yeah. he yeah, I think he would definitely be disgusted by it.
So we've talked about the characters, the plot line, the artwork. We've had a lot of kind of side notes about history and the Meiji era and how we can learn from manga. Do you have any final thoughts?
I think this is a fun, fresh, flirty manga who, you know, that teaches us all about high school life and romance.
Wait, what?
No, I'm kidding.
Okay. Excuse me.
I thought this was a very educational historical fiction manga, and I thought that it detailed the cultures of different people very respectfully. And I thought that it was, the storyline was interesting, the art was interesting, the different characters had their own personalities, and it was very, very it was a fun read.
Nice. For me, it was certainly educational to come into. I really like being able to look up these things after the fact and after reading it. And I reckon I'll continue reading it afterwards.
And get to that bear scene.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. Yeah, for me, I think I've been technically a long time fan. Yeah, like I think I started reading it in 2019 after Jay told me that she stayed up night or reading it or something. And yeah, I think I was quite good at keeping up until recently. But yeah, I think the best thing about this manga is that it keeps you on your toes. So you never know what's happening because there's so many, you know, even after this 38 chapters, you think you already have a huge cast of characters. They keep adding more. The hunt for the people who want a piece of that gold, you know, that number grows bigger and bigger. So it's, for me anyway, I never know what's going to happen, and it keeps me surprised and keeps me engaged every chapter. So I would recommend it to anyone who loves action, comedy, and also mystery.
Yeah, the mystery elements interesting too.
Who is this man who's so cold, ruthlessly cunning? Yeah.
Must know more. Is it finished, Golden Kamuy?
No.
Why do you do this to me? Get me
No.
invested in all these manga that aren't finished.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Although,
Keeps you
speaking of unfinished manga that we're going to be reading next week, we have Soso no Frieren by Yamada Kanehito and Abe Tsukasa, which is very new, actually. It came out mid-2020, or it started in mid-2020. And we're going to be reading up to chapter 21, as that is all the chapters that are out at the time of speaking. So it may be a little shorter. I found out about this about 2 weeks ago, and I've been just about resisting reading it all ever since. So I hope you enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for listening to this episode of OCHATO.
We'll see you next time.